Welcome to Screener to Stream It,
where we take a look at a movie that's in theaters now
versus one you can stream at home,
and we try to decide which one should you go with.
This week on Screener to Stream It, we checked out Thor Ragnarok. So, in Thor, it's a continuation. This is the third Thor movie.
Not counting the Avengers movies that have
it's
Thor.
It's the third standalone Thor movie. So in Ragnarok, it starts off with, well, doesn't start off exactly there, but the story really kicks off when Thor and Loki's older sister appears that we never knew she had, never knew that they had. But she appears all of a sudden, and she wants to rule Asgard. She wants to be the queen of everything.
Everything, yes.
And Thor and Loki don't want that, of course. They get into a big fight, actually, as they're like traveling to Asgard on the Rainbow Bridge, and Thor and Loki kind of get kicked out and end up on this strange planet in the middle of nowhere, like literally in the middle of nowhere. It's like
it's their universe's room of requirement. It's where everything ends up if you don't know where it is.
Yeah, it's just a big garbage dump. And Loki does the Loki thing, Thor does the Thor thing. Loki weasels his way, and Thor fights his way. And they meet up with some old friends, and they come together and they head back to Asgard to try to take down the sister, who is now starting to run everything and save all of the people of Asgard. And that's pretty much the basis of it. I mean, they left out a lot of details, but you know,
you don't want to spoil
them. Without spoiling things.
That's the gist.
The premise of it. So, what's our star rating?
We got all our heads together after having watched it, and we decided on 3 stars. So, we've got our third Thor movie with 3 stars. What are your thoughts?
3.
3?
No, so, looking at other ratings, like everybody reviews this thing like it's made out of gold.
I know exactly what you mean. I found one in the local newspaper, actually, where they just said, oh, it's so much fun. It's the best movie ever. You will love it. Pretty
much everyone I've talked to that didn't go with us to the movies has been like, it's the most amazing thing. And it was kind of
I mean, it wasn't bad. Not at all.
No.
None of us thought it was bad. We
still gave it 3 stars.
We didn't love it.
And it comes down to one thing. The silliness.
Which I like silliness.
For me, anyways. The one thing that just really... Like, the story was fine. The action was fine. Although y'all had some trouble with the CGI. Yeah. I could take it or leave it. I didn't...
It shouldn't scream at you, hey, this is a CGI fight scene. If it does, they've lost me.
And see, it didn't bother me at all.
Oddly enough, only 2 points did that, and there were a lot of CGI fight scenes, but...
I don't know why it didn't bother me, but I did notice, you look at it as CGI, but I didn't... It wasn't like we stopped in the middle of a battle scene for me to go, oh, man, that's CGI. It just went on.
Yeah.
The story in itself was okay. You had some neat characters... But the thing is the tone. And if you saw the trailer, in the trailer, that's the movie.
Yes.
Like, that is the tone, that is the way it carries on.
Accurately portrayed that movie in the trailers, I have to say. So, good job on that trailer, guys.
The movie starts off with Thor trapped in a cage, and he's talking to a skeleton.
Which I didn't mind that.
I don't know, from that point, I mean, that's the way the movie started, and he was being all goofy and silly with the skeleton, and then everything he does, he's goofy and he's silly.
Right, which, with the skeleton, I kind of took it, because there was no telling how long he'd been down there, I could have given that a pass, but it never let up. Like, the entire movie, it never let up.
If this had been the first Thor movie, and this the first time we saw Thor, I would have watched it and went, oh, he's a goofy character.
Right.
But having watched the first 2 movies, in which there's comedy in the first 2 movies, but the comedy usually comes from the fact that he is so straight-laced.
Right, he's the straight man.
Yes, and he is so straight-laced that he doesn't fit in the world around him, and nothing makes sense, and he can't get a hold of anything, and it just doesn't work.
Right, it's fish out of water comedy.
Right, but in this one, he's just like, dude, you gotta go with it, like the whole time, and it was just off-putting to me. I was just taken aback by it, I never got used to it. I never settled into it.
It was quite a deviation from And again, like you said, from what they had already established. If it had been the first one, probably would have just rolled with it. But it's just like, we're going this way, now this way. So,
and, I mean, we have no idea what happens behind the scenes, but I would bet money, what we talked about earlier, that Guardians of the Galaxy is a success. It's a huge success. Deadpool is a huge success. I mean, let's do that. Except that didn't seem right for a Thor movie. He's supposed to be serious. They wanted to cash grab on that. You know, we want that silliness and we want the witty quips, and it just didn't work.
Some of the moments tried to be that serious, where he said, you know, pronounced things, but so much other silliness had happened, you just didn't. It didn't have any weight. You didn't believe him. So.
Well, and no, and then, but to me, that detracted from, you know, like the fight scenes or the things that should have been serious. They should have been tension filled,
momentous moments.
They weren't. Yeah. They weren't because it was silly.
Yeah,
and I didn't personally have a problem, like I said, with the CGI. You got a fair amount of the Hulk in there.
Like the Hulk, he didn't bother me at all. He was good.
But I mean, you're not going to do the Hulk without CGI or Lou Ferrigno, one or the other.
Right. Those were the days.
But there were a lot of things that were CGI'd that, like, there's no reason for them to have been. Like, they had like a little karate-ish fight scene. Why? Why did that have to be CGI?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
karate chopping people.
You know, and people are wearing weird masks and helmets, and their faces are half covered. Get a stunt double. Honestly, just get a stunt double.
Look, if you can digitally erase Henry Cavill's mustache, then you can change somebody's face if you have to. I mean, they put dead people in movies now.
Yeah.
You can't tell me we can't, for like 30 seconds of total movie time, we couldn't have, as they're flipping and flailing, you know, put a new face on somebody.
Yeah.
All right, I'm splitting hairs now. But it's just, it was, I don't know. So some of that was silly. I can't get over the tone. If you take away the tone of the movie, the story's okay.
It's okay.
I like the Hulk. I like the Valkyrie was fine. Loki is fine.
The Valkyrie was fine, though sometimes I just feel like somebody is not quite right cast. She did a good job. No, don't get me wrong. She was great. She just seemed very young to be. I don't know. To me, she just seemed too young.
Well, I don't know.
I'm being picky. I am.
Mostly ageless, so it didn't really.
Well, right, but she just. I don't know. Like, Cate Blanchett was cast as the older sister. I'm not sure exactly how old she is, and I would never ask because that's rude. But I know she's not in her 20s. You know, she looks like a very mature, grown adult. Like, you know, you can buy her as being ageless. You know, like she, you know. I'm gonna shut up now.
Yeah. Well, and then, so I can't think of his name. Is playing darn my name deficiency.
Who?
Thor and Loki's father.
If you had Anthony Hopkins.
All right, like he's old.
Right.
He's supposed to be old. But pretty much nobody else.
Yeah, they have.
Like I don't understand that, but everybody else is. Like you said, ageless, beautiful people, and then
he's
old guy.
I loved Carl Urban's character. He was guarding the Bifrost for a little bit there, right at the beginning.
I was trying to think of his.
I don't
like Scourge or something like that.
I don't remember his name in the movie, but I loved him. I like everything he's been in. Just about.
He did do a good job. One of the things I fussed about is they basically took the Planet Hulk storyline, chopped a chunk out, they condensed Planet Hulk into 5 minutes, and that's one of my favorite Hulk stories. My favorite Hulk story.
Literally 5 minutes, because it seemed like longer, but
well, I mean, there was other stuff thrown in there, but the actual stuff was probably about 5 minutes.
So they pretty much used the backdrop from Planet Hulk, 5 minutes of the actual story, and then.
But I don't think they're ever going to give the Hulk his own movie again. So I guess it's okay that we got to see it. But
those have been pretty hit and miss, to be fair.
It was just kind of an okay movie. The story wasn't spectacular. Plot wise, wasn't a whole lot. I mean, it was bad guy shows up, bad guy tries to take over home, and guys really, come back to take home back.
Honestly, the side quests, so to speak, were what took up the entire story.
Yeah, I know.
Was them trying to figure out how to get back to go fight her finally.
Yeah, because it was 5-10 minute little fight there at the end,
which is a really weird way to do a story. So the main struggle is not actually the main struggle. I don't know.
I guess it was all about the quest to get there. Oh, and Jeff Goldblum.
That guy.
Oh, what a weird character.
It worked, though. In the context of what they had going, that fit right in. It worked.
He's like the president of the scrap planet, and he's the one that throws the gladiatorial games.
Mm-hmm. And he had a stick that he could vaporize people with. That his assistant was far too eager to give him.
I want a pokey stick that vaporizes. Gone.
That's illegal in 39 states.
Oh, are we one of them?
Texas? Probably.
Oh. But some of the stuff was really funny, and there were some really funny moments, but it just, I don't know, didn't sit right with me. The funny felt out of place.
Right.
And I guess there was a little voice in the back of my head every time Thor said something that should have been funny that was kind of stupid. My brain just went, oh, he's trying to be Star-Lord. Oh, he's trying to be Star-Lord.
But that having been said, if you want to see a funnier Thor, and if that is your thing, you will probably really like it. And we don't judge.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people really seem to like it.
Right.
And like I said, didn't dislike it. Just wasn't as enamored with it as everybody else seems to be. But if you watch the trailer and you're okay with the goofiness, then it's a good movie, and you should go see it. If you were like me anyways, and the goofiness in the trailer kind of off-put me, and I thought, they're just doing that for the trailer to try to get that Guardians of the Galaxy crowd, but it didn't. It just, that was the movie, and it was just off-putting to me. So if that bothers you a lot, may bother you for the movie. So what else do we have?
Well, I have given that some thought myself for some streaming options, and of course, the easiest go-to for me was Guardians of the Galaxy, and we had even talked about it that day. That just screamed. It feels, frankly, it feels identical, just as far as the tone and the levity.
If it hadn't been Marvel, I would say they were just blatantly ripping off.
Yeah, but they are Marvel, so they can do that, I guess.
We even had spaceships, and
yeah,
I mean
So it just very felt like that, but that's too easy a comparison. So I'm going to go a slightly different route, and mine might be a little bit of a stretch. But I'm going with Mystery Men, which, oh gosh, when did that even come out? It was in the 90s.
90s, I think.
But Ben Stiller and, gosh, I cannot even remember anybody else. He was Mr. Furious, I remember.
Janine Garofalo.
Funny movie. This one's more on the spoofy side, which Thor is not. But it's basically about a bunch of reject superheroes that are no good at anything. They've got the Shoveler, which he does shovel well in his defense, but that's not really a good superhero power, But he wants to go out and be the Shoveler, and it's that one is silly, and it's supposed to be silly. And the Invisible Boy, who only turns invisible when no one's looking at him, like they're just the most ridiculous crew. But they end up, having to pull together and try to save the day.
I watched it when it came out, like you said, 20-something years ago, and hated every second of it.
And that's okay. No lie, it's a stupid movie. It's not great, but as far as just the silliness, the levity, and superheroes, it's kind of sort of along those lines. If I had to pick, I'd say Thor is a better one. But again, Mystery Men does not take itself seriously in any way.
Well, Thor didn't really take
They have a character named the Spleen, and he farts you to death.
Yes. Remember that now.
Enough said. Wasn't that played by Pee Wee Herman, the guy?
Yes, definitely enough said. Okay, so my recommendation, and again, we fought. It was so hard not to recommend just watch this other comic book movie. So there's a little bit of a stretch too for me, but I'm going to say Lethal Weapon, because you've got the action set piece with comedy and levity in it. And if you think about it, Thor was really kind of a buddy cop movie. You have good guy Thor with kind of rogue but good guy Hulk.
Yeah,
and they're going to go save the day, and you get the same thing with Riggs and Murtaugh and Lethal Weapon. If you've never seen Lethal Weapon, it's one of the like you have to see buddy cop movies. Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, and Mel Gibson's kind of off his rocker a little bit, and he does crazy and wild things. Definitely more of a serious tone, though, but with definitely some lighthearted moments and comedy thrown in. In fact, I liked all of them. Some of the sequels, I mean, they're sequels, but
they're okay.
Any of them are worth a watch.
They kept the characters and kept them doing new things, so they worked in that respect.
Yeah, so I enjoyed those.
Those are good ones.
Lethal Weapon would be a good one.
All right, the only other one came to mind was Deadpool, but again, that's just such an obvious pick. We didn't.
Deadpool, Guardians of the Galaxy,
and Thor Ragnarok. Those are all kind of simpatico there. So, well, that is it for us this week. Thanks for watching Screen It or Stream It.
And remember, don't take your kids to the movies on Tuesday nights because that's when we go.